After years of silence, memes, countdowns, and more fake release dates than any other game in recent memory, Hollow Knight Silksong has finally done the impossible. It's officially up for Game of the Year. Whether you're a long-time follower of Team Cherry, or someone who's just heard the name in passing, this nomination is already one of the biggest stories in gaming. Today we're breaking down what this means, how Silksong got here, and why the community is reacting the way it is. Let's talk Silksong, expectations, and the surprising journey to its Game of the Year nomination. To understand why this nomination is such a big deal, you have to understand the weight. Silksong wasn't just another sequel, it became the sequel. Originally announced as a simple DLC for the first game, it grew into something larger, a full-scale standalone project starring Hornet. Over time, the hype snowballed. Trailers dropped sparsely, the community filled in the gaps with theories, speculation, and more than a few memes. But through all of it, Silksong became almost mythical. For some fans, the wait turned into a shared experience. For others, expectations grew so high that disappointment felt inevitable. This is the backdrop Silksong entered when nomination season arrived. When reviews finally landed, something interesting happened. Despite the hype, the response stayed balanced. Critics praised the refined movement, expanded world design, and sheer ambition Team Cherry put into creating entirely new kingdoms, enemies, and mechanics. But reviews weren't one-noted. Some noted that the difficulty curve was sharper than expected, others felt certain story elements were intentionally more obscure than even the original game, and a few players expressed that the longer development created expectations no game could fully satisfy. This mix of praise and critique is actually one reason the Game of the Year nomination stands out. It shows the industry evaluated Silksong not as a meme project, not as vaporware resurrected, but as a genuine artistic achievement. Silksong's nomination also raises a bigger question. What does it actually contribute to modern Metroidvanias? After all, Hollow Knight helped define the genre for a new generation. Silksong doubles down on momentum, Hornet's mobility, her leaps, her speed, her ability to chain actions, turn exploration into a fluid dance. The needle and thread combat system pushes players to stay aggressive rather than reactive. And the world building remains Team Cherry's signature style. The environmental storytelling, the interconnected biomes, optional encounters, and a sense that nothing is handheld, but everything matters. Some argue that these mechanics evolve the genre. Others say they're refinements rather than revolutions. Either way, it's clear Silksong left a strong enough impression to be considered among the best games of the year. The community's reaction to the nomination has been complicated. Plenty of fans are thrilled to see Team Cherry receive recognition after years of development work. Many say the nomination alone validates the patience and sometimes frustration they felt during the long wait. Others are more reserved. Some players still feel burned by the years of silence. A few argue that the nomination came more from the game's legacy than the game itself, and of course, there's a segment of the fanbase that wonders whether Silksong would nearly be as celebrated if it weren't part of an already beloved franchise. But that mix of responses is part of what makes this nomination so interesting. It's not unanimous praise, it's nuance, and that's something that the gaming community doesn't always get recognised for. This year's Game of the Year category is packed with heavy hitters, and Silksong is entering a field filled with the big budget releases, massive open worlds, and high visibility marketing campaigns. So what does Silksong offer that stands out? A tighter scale, strong artistic vision, meticulous craftsmanship, and a uniquely dedicated fandom. But what does it lack compared to other contenders? Broad mainstream appeal, accessibility options some competitors offer, and a raw cinematic scope that big studios can achieve. Again, strengths and limitation, and that balance is part of what keeps this conversation grounded. As with the original Hollow Knight, Silksong's success signals something larger. Indie studios continue to compete at the highest level of industry. Team Cherry, 3 developers working with a modest budget, has carved out a space in the Game of the Year conversation traditionally dominated by multi-million-dollar productions. This nomination reinforces that artistic vision and gameplay depth can rival, or surpass, scale and spectacle. Whether Silksong wins or not, its presence in the category makes a statement. So, where does Hollow Knight Silksong go from here? Fans will keep dissecting lore, speedrunners will keep breaking physics, and discussions will continue about whether it deserves to win Game of the Year. But, regardless of the outcome, Silksong's nomination marks an important moment. Not just for Team Cherry, but for every gamer who waited, doubted, hoped, or yelled, "Silksong when?" into the void. Let me know what you think. Does Silksong deserve Game of the Year crown, or is another game more deserving? Drop your thoughts below, and if you enjoyed this breakdown, consider liking and subscribing. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.